What's going on, YouTube? Today's video, we're going to be reacting to 29 easy tips to help you rank up in R6. My highest rank's Plat 2. Um, Currently hard suck gold 1, 2, 3. Keep going down. So hopefully I can use some of these tips.
Is the hardest first-person shooter in the world for you to learn, and climbing the ranks can be quite the challenge for a new player. To help you overcome such a challenge, in today's video, I'll be giving you 29 tips to follow that will help you rank up at an insane pace. I made sure to include tips that are useful for players at all levels, so whether you're a brand new player or a diamond trying to push their way to champion, you'll find something to help you climb the ranks. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. Tip number 1 is something that almost everyone at the lower ranks forget to do, and that is to shoot windows in the middle of the prep phase. The reason you do this is because it will destroy the glass on the other side of the barricade, making audio transfer through the barricade easier. This will allow you to hear attackers rappelling up a window, and it will also allow you to hear them rotating past the window, which can end up giving you kills and valuable intel. Now, number 2 is a vital tip to follow when setting up a bomb site, and that is to prioritize reinforcements on outside walls and always make rotates between the two bomb sites. Outside walls are extremely important because they allow the attackers to look inwards towards the site, which gives them a huge advantage, and making rotates between the two bomb sites is important, so that way your team can go back and forth between the sites without having to leave the bomb site and go down a hallway. This may seem like something simple, but even nowadays, lower ranks struggle to figure this out. Speaking of setting up the bomb site, the next tip is never barricade doorways around the bomb site. The reason for this is because it will make it nearly impossible for you to rotate out or into the bomb site, because you'll have to break the barricade, which will make a loud audio cue and warn any attackers inside of the site or nearby the site that you're trying to enter, which will leave you vulnerable and potentially end up getting you killed. Now, tip number 4 is when you're dead, your time on the team isn't up. Hop on your team's cameras or drones and provide call out. This is arguably the time when your team's cameras and drones are their strongest. When your team is down a man, you can constantly be providing them intel on these cameras, and you'll never miss any crucial piece of information if you play it right. Make for sure you're constantly switching between cameras and prioritizing cameras where the attackers are, so that way you can maximize your effectiveness to your team. Speaking of callouts, use your compass and yellow pings to learn the basic callouts. If you walk around a map, you'll see at the bottom of your compass, or when you yellow ping, you'll see the name of the room that you just walked into on the bottom of your screen. By doing this, it will instantly make you better at providing intel to your team, and it will give you a foundation that you can build off of moving forward. Now, speaking of communication, when attacking, always save your drone in the prep phase by either driving it into spawn or by hiding it in a location inside the map. Every drone is key for your team's communication. They can provide you with crucial intel that can win you the round, and they are a necessary tool, so don't waste them. Now, the next tip is a little operator specific, but it's definitely strong. If you ever need to open a reinforced surface and there is a soft one nearby, place a thermite charge on the soft surface. It will blow a massive hole into the reinforced one, whether it's a wall or a hatch, which will allow you to avoid any sort of breach denial utility that is on that wall, which can be absolutely game changing if you don't bring any EMPs on your team. Speaking of soft surfaces, you can open hatches faster with a shotgun by shooting them from a distance. It will take less bullets and guarantee you can one-shot them every time. Speaking of dropping a hatch, whenever you find yourself doing something that makes a loud audio cue like vaulting, crouching, proning, or dropping a hatch, shoot your gun. The sound of gunshots will mask the sound of the action you're doing, which will stop the enemy from knowing. This can allow you to more effectively catch your opponent off guard, and it will stop them from being able to know what you're doing. Speaking of sound, if you want to make it easier to hear footsteps, set your audio mode and audio settings to night mode. This will make the sounds of gunshots and explosions quieter and everything else louder, which will make it much easier for you to hear footsteps and other important pieces of sound information. And if you want your aim to improve, a simple way to do that is by simply practicing. Before every session, spend time in the shooting range, play arcade, or complete other training exercises to ensure you are warmed up and prepared for whatever you may face. Trust me, one of the biggest things that helped me to improve my KD is practicing before every rank session. It will have a huge effect on your ability to perform. Now, if you want to be a more consistent player, stop caring about your stats. Focus on the match at hand, and remember, KD doesn't matter. If you let your poor KD or your poor performance in the match get to your head, then you're just going to continue to play worse and worse, and you're never going to improve at the game whatsoever. If there's any tip that you take away from this video, it's this one. Make for sure your mentality going into every rank session is rock solid. Now, if you want a little tip while you're roaming, you can place barricades when on a deep roam to stop attackers from catching you off guard. This will allow you to get a loud audio cue when the attackers are pushing from behind, and it will stop you from getting caught off guard. And if worse comes to worse and you need to rotate through that barricade, you can either use an impact, or you can prep the barricade by meleeing it 2 times and then meleeing it a 3rd time when you need to rotate through it. Speaking of prepping prepping barricades, you can prep castle barricades by hitting them 8 times. Then you can hit them one more time to walk directly through the barricade, which will catch almost any enemy off guard because you won't make much audio at all when you go to break the barricade, and all of the attackers on the other side of the barricade likely won't be looking at it since it's a bulletproof surface. Now, another thing that can help your performance a lot in a match is checking your monitor's refresh rate. A lot of players who have a 144 Hz monitor or above forget to ensure that it's actually enabled. Go into your settings on your computer and make for sure that your monitor's refresh rate is at the maximum refresh rate it can sustain, because every ounce of frame rate that you can see with your own eyes is going to give you an advantage in a match. And if you only have a 60 Hz monitor, I would definitely recommend focusing on getting a new one as your next upgrade. Now, after checking your monitor's refresh rate, you should then check your shadow setting, because whether you know or not, shadows in Siege are extremely important. Make for sure in your graphics settings that you have shadows set to high. It will make it easier for you to see an opponent's shadow, which can give you valuable information. This is because if an attacker that's outside of the map walks away from the sun, their shadow will be cast onto the ground or the surface that they're standing near, which will allow you to see them peeking before they even cross the doorway. Now, if you're someone that likes to pull off a sneaky rat strategy on the attack, you'll love this tip, because you can melee a barricade twice in this exact way to make a crouchable hole that makes less noise without destroying the barricade completely. This can allow you to sneak up on the defense without them even hearing you, which can make a lot of rush strategies and rat plays 10 times more effective. Now, if you want to use a barricade to your advantage to run out, you can shoot a barricade at the bottom section and melee the yellow strip twice. This will allow you to prep a barricade if an attacker is nearby without them hearing any audio from the barricade at all, which means you can jump out without worrying about them looking at your direction. Now, if you're playing Cade and you want the attacker's job to be 10 times harder dealing with his Electroclaws, you can throw Cade's Electroclaws a floor above or a floor below the surface he's wanting to electrify. And this will make it harder for the attacker's EMPs to reach his Electroclaw, and it will make it damn near impossible for them to find it inside of the site, making it harder for operators like Twitch to counter it. If you ever find yourself in a pinch where you need to open a wall with Hibana, you can open an entire reinforced wall by just using 6 pellets. All you have to do is shoot 6 of her pellets in the spots on the top and the bottom of a wall, and when the X-Kairos detonate, they will turn that entire reinforced wall soft, making Hibana actually viable for getting a wall open. Now, if you ever need to block a drone hole, placing a Goyo canister in it can stop the attackers from shooting through the drone hole, since the Goyo canister is bulletproof. This is a much better solution than using an Azami Kiba, since the attackers can't exactly melee a Goyo canister to get rid of it, so they'll be forced to use some form of utility to burn through that Goyo canister. If you ever find yourself up against that Cade on a hatch, you can open an electrified hatch with Ace by throwing 1 Selma on each side of it on a soft floor. This will open it whether it's electrified or not, allowing you to bypass the Electroclaw entirely. If there are mute jammers on a wall, you can avoid them by putting your hard breach utility on the top of the wall. This will go outside of the range of the mute jammer, allowing you to still open a massive hole in the wall, and it will allow you to shoot the mute jammers if necessary. If you need to stop a flank on the attack, stacking 2 claymores on a staircase right behind each other can catch defenders off guard by causing them to run into the second one after shooting the first one, because most defenders, when they're going for a flank, are not going to expect you to put 2 claymores on the same staircase. A strong strategy with the new operator Sentry is picking proximity alarms to throw under a common entry point, and then placing a nitro cell under that entry point. And then when the attackers inevitably walk into that proximity alarm, you can immediately detonate the nitro cell, giving you a free pick that the attackers can't really do anything about. Now, if you're on a roam and you need to get past a nomad, you can avoid an air jab by slowly walking under the doorway it's on, looking up, and shooting it. You have to be careful with it because you can accidentally step too far and set off the air jab. But if you play it safe and you walk slowly, you should be able to shoot the air jab no problem, which will allow you to sneak up on the attackers and catch them off guard. Something that I'm sure many of you don't know is that Tubarao is immune to glass. If you find out that the enemy team is bringing a glass, you can have Tubarao or his teammates stand inside of Tubarao's Zoto canisters to stop glass from seeing them on a scope. And that's because Zoto canisters drop the temperature of operators standing in their radius, which means that Glass's thermal scope can't see them through smoke grenades. Whenever you bring a deployable shield, always place it behind a doorway so that your teammates can defend them with ADSs. If you put a deployable shield in the middle of a doorway, not only does it stop any ADSs in the doorway from protecting the shield, but it also stops you from being able to peek out on the sides of the shield to get kills, and it basically forces you to only peek out of a deployable shield by standing up, which leaves your head vulnerable and is extremely predictable. Now, if you found a bulletproof camera in your kit, or you decide to play Maestro, try to place some of your cameras above a hatch and pop it. It will make it impossible for an attacker to melee them under any circumstances, and they'll have to either waste utility to get rid of your cameras, or they'll have to shoot them when they're vulnerable. And that is our last tip. Let me know if one of these tips helped you, or if you have any tips of your own, leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed today's video, I make Siege content just like this twice a week, so go subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss the next upload. If you want to watch another video just like this one, a video will be popping up on your screen right now that I'm sure you all enjoy. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.
Hey, bro. That's kind of calm. I like Never thought about put double claymore. I didn't know you put aces on two sides of a hatch. That's crazy. I also want to try. I've seen prepping a castle barrier to 1 HP and then hitting it potentially with one card. I haven't tried it yet. I might try that too. But if you guys enjoyed the video, comment down below a video you guys want me to watch. Uh, Subscribe and like the video if you like it. Just hope you guys enjoy. Just thank you for watching. Peace out.